Hey, yeah, what's up? This disciple Marshall Occurrence reign back up in this anti-Illuminati all day, anti-America all day, anti-telepathy all day, anti-gang stalk all day. So basically, this video is gonna be about uh, taking the sex acts of children totally serious, taking the sex acts of children 100% totally serious. As many of you that have been through things as a child, right? And you got people that's around you, maybe in your family, maybe in your community, that's trying to take what you did as a child like 100% serious. Like that was a real sex act. That child was getting it in. But it's ludicrous because who would take the act of a sex act of a child 100% serious as a serious sex act of serious sexual desire? That says a lot about the clown that does that. Who sits back and takes any acts of sexual activity of a child serious, totally serious? And that's the difference. You have grown people, now they have grown desires. Just like the song say, I'm a big boy and big boys have desires. Okay? Big boys have desires. That's grown people. But children don't even have fully grown desires, right? So if they don't have fully grown desires, how can you take anything they do actually seriously, sexually speaking? But yet these white Americans that run around in law enforcement will go around and take your sex acts as a child 100% serious. I mean, that's so much of a cornball, man. How can you live with yourself? You that corny. How can you live with yourself, bro? No one takes the sex act of a child serious. Like that child getting it in. That child meant business. That child meant business sexually. No one's saying that, is there? No one thinks like that. That child got it in. That child meant business sexually. Only adults can express serious attitude and serious energy when it comes to sexuality. A child is halfway humorous the whole time. The child's laughing and let's try this what we seen off TV. Let's do this. Let's do this. So it's halfway humorous, and it's not even serious at all. Actually, it's actually half humorous, half experimental. That's a 7 hour. Boom. That's a combination right there. It's actually no part serious. What it actually is 50% humorous, and 50% experimental. So there is no serious element with a child having a sex act at all. So how are you taking it totally serious when there's no serious element? There's no serious element. There's experimental and there's humorous. They're halfway laughing. They halfway think it's funny or a joke or something. All those elements apply and can apply. So how are you taking it totally serious when the child is halfway humored by it, or trying to humor with it, or laughing with it, and think it's halfway a joke, and the other half is experimental. So where's the serious part at? In the child's makeup. In the child's makeup, where's the serious element that you're projecting as if they were like serious in this act, like they're getting it in, they're doing this deviant act? Where is that element when it's only two really dominant elements, which is humorous and experimental? So where is the serious element in it altogether of a child sex act. There is no serious element in it. There's either humor or experimental. So no matter how cruel it may seem to you, in all actuality, it still is humor to it, a joke to it, and it's part experimental. You don't have the luxury of painting children as sexual deviants. That's a position for an adult. I would say that a child cannot be a sexual deviant. How can a child be a sexual deviant? The person hasn't fully developed to where you can define them sexually. So the act was, in most cases, humorous, halfway a joke, or trying to humor, laughing, and experimental. That's the other half. Seeing what they seen on TV, what they heard in a song, and half of it comes from something they heard or seen. So they might mess around with each other, or children may mess around sexually even with animals, and it may be something they seen on TV or someone told them at school about it. You don't know. You don't know really. And honestly, that person, being that it happened so long ago, they may have not known where they got it from. The child may have not known where this original thought of this sex act came from. It could have came from anywhere. It could have came from just somewhere at school, somewhere on a movie, some joke, something insinuated on a TV show. You don't know. But yet you put a full definition on the child as a sexual deviant when it's halfway humorous, halfway funny, halfway not serious, right? Halfway not, it's not serious at all. It's halfway a joking matter to a child, right? It's not a serious sex act to a child. And then the other part is experimental, which is also not serious. I'm seriously experimenting. Can a child seriously experimenting? Even experimenting as an element is not even serious. They're just experimenting. And whether you like it or not, you don't have the right to redefine a sex act of a child to being a serious deviant sex act when it's not even 100% serious at all. It's a humorous act that is experimental. It's a joking act that is experimental. So you can't sit up and say, well, this is what it is. How can you sit up and define what a sex act with a child is? See, now you're getting so smart, you're stupid, right? That's what I'm saying. You're getting so smart that you're stupid actually, and you're not smart. Okay? Because you're making it this whole big thing of what it is, and you wasn't even there to define it. Even the smartest doctors cannot define everything. You can't. You can come as close to what you think it is. That's all you can do. Ow, that's a 7. You can come the closest what you think it is. That's the best you can do. Ask a doctor. That's the best they can do. They can come as closest to what they think it was, right? I'm talking about actual activity. I'm not talking about mental diagnoses and all of that. I'm talking about when it comes to specifically sex acts, all you can do is come closest to what you thought it was or you think it is. But you can't really say where that original thought came from. You can't really say what made those kids do what they did. What we can say, though, is that it's not 100% serious. First of all, a sex act of a child is not 100% serious. We definitely can establish that. And we definitely can establish that it is also experimental. It's experimenting. And no, even a doctor doesn't have the right to tell you exactly what it was. So what we go with is that is what we know, which is that it is partially 50%, most likely 50% experimental, mostly really 60 to 70% experimental, and the rest of it is humorous, joking, trying to humor, like, hey, look what we doing, Dad, look what we doing, look what I'm doing to you. It's that kind of element with experimental. And all you can do is come the closest you think you can to what you think, and you wasn't even there. You don't really know. You can't really say what it was. And even the kids involved can't really say what it was. Especially out of X amount of time. How they gonna say what it was? That part. So they can't even define it, and you can't even define it. Okay, most kids can't define why they did what they did. And you don't have the right to define it yourself. Okay, because all you're going to say is step on a sexual deviant. Okay, sexual deviant as a kid? When the act is not even serious as a sexual deviant act would be? Okay, if as a child, how's it a sexual deviant act when it's not even serious? A sexual deviant act has the element of seriousness to it. With a kid, all it has is the element of humor, laughing, look what I'm doing to you, which could be even cruel by nature. A child could be saying, look what I'm doing to you. I'm poking you here. I'm poking you there. And it may seem cruel what actually is happening, right? It may have cruel repercussions where the child is bleeding or something. But the other child thinks, look what I'm doing to you. Look what I'm doing to you. So how can you say that's a sexual deviant when that person is saying, look what I'm doing to you, when the child is saying, look at what I'm doing to you? And it is experimenting with the child sexually. And so that's what it is. And so I'm setting many of you free that have these weirdos around you. These people who think they got you. They ain't got you. They ain't got you because, see, what you did as a child was nothing but experimental. It was nothing. That's first of all. Really, that's the foundation. It was all experimental. So how are you a sexual deviant when you was experimenting? A sexual deviant is stuck in a certain thing in a way, right? Certain things they do, they know what they want to do, right? You're experimenting. How are you labeled as a sexual deviant? And it's not even actually totally serious. So how are you getting this label of description? When you're not, how are you getting described as a sexual deviant when what you did wasn't even serious at all, and you were experimenting as a child? You wasn't even fully developed as a person. So how are you getting these labels of sexual deviant? Because it's stupid people that think they know what they're talking about and want to take advantage of things in your sexual history and use it against you because they just want to defeat you with it. That's all it is. They don't care if they're right or wrong. They just want to defeat you with what they think they got on you. And they have nothing on you. A child is not a sexual deviant. They can grow into being a sexual deviant. But as an adult, if you don't find anything that has made them grow into being a sexual deviant, then you lose. You lose. In other words, if all they did looked like it was going to go in the direction of a sexual deviant, but it didn't, you lose. Because what they did as children was just halfway humorous. It could have been cruel. And it was experimental, but they didn't take that seed and grow it into a sexual deviant. So there's two categories of people. There are people who do things as children, and they grow into a sexual deviant. And there are children that do things sexually and they just was experimenting and doing even cruel things, and it was halfway humorous, but they did not grow into a sexual deviant. Boy, that's a 7 hour. They didn't grow into a sexual deviant. They just was experimenting as kids. So that's two different types of individuals. You see that right there? You can't be slow following me now. You can't be slow following me. You got people that they were kids. They did things. They experimented sexually, and it was halfway humorous, and it stopped there. And they went on to live a normal, healthy sexual life. Now you see what I'm saying? And they just did childish things sexually, but they went on to live a normal, healthy sexual life. That's a lot of people. A child does childish things. So a child ain't gonna do sexually childish things. Boy, that's a 7 hour. A child is not gonna do sexually childish things. Now you see how stupid our enemies look. A child is not gonna do sexually childish things. That's not possible. You're telling me it's not possible for a child to do sexually childish things. That's what you would have me to believe. See, the whole thing is they're painting these children as adults. That's what it is. You're looking at what they did as if they were an adult in that situation. And they were not. So how can you take the sex acts of a child as an adult? It's children have sexual childish acts. Now, a sexual deviant that grows up and then starts doing all these things to children or start doing things to animals as adults. Now you can say, as an adult, they are a sexual deviant. But if you were a person that had these childish sex acts, that's what it is. Well, it isn't an adult sex act. It's a childish sex act. And if you had these childish sex acts, you can't let people define you as you were some sexual deviant because you had childish sex acts as a kid. That's a 7 hour. That's not what it is. And so that's how you put them to rest. Because they'll sit up and tell you, oh, well, you're a deviant. Look what you did as a kid. Exactly. Look what I did as a kid. Not as a grown man. Those are called childish sexual acts, bro. That's right. Children will have childish sex acts because it's not ever totally serious. I don't know no kids say, yeah, I got to beat it up tonight. Yeah, little Jenny's come around about 5 o'clock. Yeah, I'm going to beat it up, man. They telling their friends, yeah, man, I'm going to beat that up tonight. That's how men talk. Yeah, she coming over, I'm going to beat that up tonight. See, that's an example of a serious sex act. Someone that is premeditating the act. You feel me? First of all, they're premeditating the act. They're premeditating that they're going to do this, and they have this serious mentality knowing exactly what they're going to do. A kid doesn't come in knowing what they're going to do. Yeah, I know what I'm going to do tonight. I know I'm going to do to Jenny tonight. And they ain't planning it. Well, yeah, you know, she coming over about 5. Imagine that. Now, a kid may have thoughts of anticipating a child coming and doing little things to set things up, but there is no real premeditation and there is no real certain intentions, which would be required for you to label someone a sexual deviant. I know. Only dumb dummies thought they could, is playing with this situation. Now you want to talk and define. Now you see where we're going. You want to define stuff, and now we see how stupid you are. Because you just looked at it as a dummy. That's what it is. That's what it was. Now that we get down to the smarts of it and the intelligence of in intelligent people addressing it, now you look stupid. Yeah, I thought you thought you knew what it was, and you really don't know human beings. But yeah, here you are as a dummy, and human beings matters. In short, in conclusion, dummies should not be involved in human beings matters. Dummies should not be talking about human beings matters. Dummies should not assume that they know what human beings are doing. Save it for the professionals, buddy. In other words, save it for the professionals who understand that child acts are never serious, first of all, and children will have childish sex acts. Save it for the professionals. You're a dummy, okay?